Just hold this for me, please.
Yes, boss.
So we're going to be doing Why Women Deserve Less Part 2. Now, what I wanted to do was that obviously Myron has a lot of like dedicated followers or people that subscribe to the way he thinks, which is fine. Like, I appreciate all of them comment on the videos. However, I will obviously rebut some of the things they're saying. The reason I didn't do it in the comment section is because I think things can get lost in translation. Now, I just want to be clear. I'm not butthurt by anything that anyone says on there. People are more than welcome to come to our videos and say whatever they want. You'll never like see me getting crazy in the comment section. We might have disagreements, but the same way these guys are commenting these things, I would be happy to speak to them in person. I think when you speak to people in person, it tends to flow a bit better than on the internet. Things tend to get blown up. But I'm going to read out just a few of my favorite comments just before we start reading chapter 3, just to respond to you guys, because I'm sure you're going to come back to watch the video. So Flat B Kush 6 said, "It's only a problem because you can't do it. You don't got it like that. We don't complain, we replace." So I think this was in response to, obviously, I was pushing back on Myron's ideas of the dating world. And this comment was in response to someone called Poet, who is a subscriber of the channel, because I was pointing out Myron's hypocrisy and some of the things that I don't like. Now, I think it's wild to assume that because I don't like some of the things that Myron says that I can't get it or I don't got it. I think that's a bit of a silly thing to say. You can disagree with Myron. You can disagree with other men. We don't all have to agree on everything. You understand that. Just because a guy doesn't understand or doesn't agree with Myron doesn't mean that he can't get laid or doesn't know how to talk to women. I think that's a bit of a weak comeback. But again, you don't have to complain. You can replace. And I don't have to agree with Myron. And I don't think it doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make either of us wrong. We just have different ways of looking at the world. Then there was someone else called TFTL TV that said, "I was going to watch this whole video, but only a minute in do started disrespecting Myron. Yeah, I'm out, man." Now, I watched the first minute of the video. I don't think I was being disrespectful to Myron. I read the opening passage and I said that's a fair statement, but I don't know. People get in their feelings when you go after Myron, I guess. Then Casper said, "You're straight out ignorant on this topic. I'm sorry, but already this energy in this conversation, brackets, the girl is more dominant and the guy is afraid to say anything that would not go in line with the girl's views, brackets, cancels the things said in this video."
I didn't even think I said that much.
What do you think about it?
And I think I was jumping off more off of what you were saying.
Are you more dominant in the videos than I am?
Absolutely not.
I think the thing is that when a lot of these red pill guys see a man agreeing with a girl, they automatically assume that he's a simp.
Yeah.
That he must be trying to get in her pants, that he can't get laid. It's not that, because I don't think that you want to suck Myron's dick because you agree with everything that he says. I don't believe that. Maybe you just agree with him, but that's kind of what you're peddling here. Because I don't agree with another man, a famous guy in the red pill community, you think that I'm a simp. You don't think guys can have agency, basically. It's like, follow this ideology or you're trying to get laid. So what, everything that Myron says, you ride for that? Now, even if I was wrong on what I was saying, and we can debate that, that's fine. Maybe I did get some things wrong. And I would say that one of the criticisms we got is that I was a bit too subjective on the things I was saying. I'm willing to take that on board. But the whole dominant thing, and me being afraid to say what I want to say in front of Sabi. Obviously, you haven't watched enough of Midnight Rubbish. That's definitely not how things go down here. But again, like, it's a stupid talking point. And the last one was, from the beginning, this man come from Myron on opening statement. Geezer trying to impress chicks, and no, you don't get his points. Now, maybe I didn't get the points. I'll be willing to concede that. I would never sit here and pretend like I'm correct about everything. But why is it always that when people don't agree with Myron, Fresh, Rolo Tomasi, any of the red pill guys, that it's because we're trying to get girls? Do you think that every single guy has to think that way or will think that way, otherwise they're trying to get laid? Do you think every single guy's trying to white knight? I'd agree some guys are. And it would also stand to reason that some people just think for themselves. Not everybody has to agree with Myron. Anyway, those are 4 of my favorite comments. I won't read any of the other ones out because some of them were really stupid. But anyway, well, do you want to read chapter 3 or?
We can take it in turns.
All right. The old contract. So the old contract was nothing sexy or exciting. It was boring. Despite all the flowers, white wedding dresses, cringe romantic comedies and love songs, it boiled down to men provided resources and protection, women provided sex, and if wanted, children. The new contract is a bit more complex, as it may sound good on paper but doesn't work in practice, like communism. It boils down to, I don't need a man, men are trash, down with the patriarchy, believe all women. I would agree that that stuff is happening a lot more now. Any woman that is saying all men are trash, I don't need a man, down with the patriarchy, they generally, I would say they are probably uneducated, probably harboring some hate towards men. I would never say that I don't need a woman, I don't need women in my life. I definitely don't think women are trash. And the patriarchy argument, people love throwing that word around. We've covered it to death on Midnight Rubbish. Most people don't even know what the patriarchy is. So I would agree. Most, and believe all women, obviously that is nonsense. You don't believe all people for anything. So I would agree with Myron there. Not that I'm agreeing that is for all women, but that's definitely a thing. Now that we understand the difference between the two contracts, let us dive into the old contract. Though void and technically no longer in effect, it pays to review the old contract men and women had with each other for several reasons. First, it is human nature. No matter how much women hate the past or feminists detest tradition, there is no denying that men and women evolved over thousands of years to interact with each other in a certain way. That's true. These biological realities are reflected in the old contract, and no matter how much women would wish otherwise, they are inescapable. Indeed, times have changed. Indeed, feminism has burned the old contract. However, political fads cannot undo 200,000 years of evolutionary hardwiring that all men and women have. To deny the old contract is to ignorantly deny human nature. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Second, not everyone is entirely on board with the new contract, which will be described in detail in the next chapter. Some people reject the new contract and insist on adhering to tradition. Examples include women who wish to be stay-at-home mums, religious people, etc. Some accept parts of the new contract, but still hold on to some of the old. Examples include feminists who want you to pay for a date, career women who leave the workforce to raise their kids, men who will commit but not marry. Some people fully accept the new contract. Examples include feminists with purple hair. True. People that identify as one of the 3,976,243 genders. Androgynous men who are open to open relationships. Parents okay with outsourcing their children to the state. Those things are unfortunately happening these days. Myron is not wrong there. Hell of a lot of people don't know and are in the process of figuring out for themselves. Regardless, the point is that we are in a transitioning period where a significant percentage of the population either wholly or partially subscribes to the old contract, rendering it valid. Third, no matter how much women want to be men, they're still biologically women. True. Nothing he said so far is untrue. They can pursue men's sports, they can have great careers, they can scream about how much they don't need men while they dress like men. They even hate themselves so much that they cut off their hair and their tits, dye their hair green, mutilate their genitals, tattoo their whole body and claim to identify as a man. However, in the end, no matter what they say, on a biological level, they're still women and will consequently behave so on some level, again, making parts of the old contract valid. There's nothing here that I would disagree with. What about you?
It is the way reality is these days. It is the whole concept of a lot of women, not all women, they want life to be, say, how it was before, like how men were, but then they also want this level of equality in some senses as well. And it's like, if you want it the old way, then you can't have it the new way as well. I mean, really, you can just have things how you want. Yeah. In life, but the whole concept is, which is a lot of what Andrew Tate preached as well, is that women want the old school male, but then they don't like what comes with it.
Yeah, I saw this meme on Instagram the other day, and they were talking about how men were so gentlemanly, like back in the day, and that they were going through all these things that like men would do back in the day. Like Hollywood is very much made it look a bit more glamorous than what it was, I'd say. Yeah, but the meme was. It was wrestling. They were using Jeff Jarrett. For those who don't know, Jeff Jarrett used to have a guitar, and the meme said it's 1932 and mom hasn't finished cooking dinner, and this woman turns around and Jeff Jarrett just clubs her over the head of a guitar. And I was speaking to an older person. He was like, "Yeah, you know, like Hollywood does make it look a lot more glamorous than what it was."
I mean, I don't know. I think there is still a lot of men out there who are gentlemen.
Of course, 100%. And there's a lot of women in the West that are good, decent women. My pushback with Myron is that I think he thinks too many women are behaving in unbecoming ways in the West, and I don't know how true that is. And I think sometimes he might make things seem more extreme than what they are, like the thing with the 1,000 propositions a month. Some people are saying that they can be indirect and direct. It's a bit hard to like with an indirect one that can be taken the wrong way. I can only really like look at if there was actual data on it, direct like calls for someone to have sex with you. But maybe I'm looking at that wrong. But 1,000 seemed like a crazy number to me. But in this chapter, what he's describing as the old contract between men and women and the way it's changed, I wouldn't disagree with anything he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it has changed. I don't think it's changed for everybody. There's a lot of people. There's women on TikTok called trad wives, where they are, I don't know if they're doing it for clicks, but they're supporting and they want to be a part of the traditional housewife role, raising kids, being there to cook the food, keeping the house together, doing the traditional things. And again, if feminism is for equality and women's rights, then these women have the right to do that. Other women shouldn't be shitting on them for doing that. Fourth, as women are confused today about their role in modern society, so are men. This is because the biological nature of the old contract runs contrary to the statutory nature of the new contract, explained in detail in the next chapter. For example, men pursue the opposite sex traditionally, which is encouraged under the old contract. But such actions are frowned upon, discouraged, or even outright punished under the new contract. For example, it was perfectly alright to buy a girl flowers in the past, and she would naturally be inclined to enjoy them. But if not done under precisely right circumstances and conditions today, such a move would likely label you creepy, desperate, or even a borderline stalker. Like Tom, Dick, and Harry, you think you are doing everything right, and are, according to the old contract, but those right things are in complete violation of the new contract, resulting in confusion and guaranteed failure. Understand this will help eliminate much of your confusion about women today.
I don't know about that, because I just think it's more so if you're talking to a girl and she's feeling you the same way you're feeling her and you got her flowers, I wouldn't consider that creepy or stalkerish. I think more so if a girl isn't feeling you and you did that, then maybe she might get a bit, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't get creeped out by it, but maybe that's where some people might get creeped out because they're not feeling you.
Yeah, I don't know.
That makes sense.
I don't know if I entirely agree with Myron's point here. I think I get the gist of what he's saying, but I do think in the old days, under the right circumstances, would still need to be in place in order to buy a girl flowers. Like if I walked in here and gave you flowers, you would look at me sideways like, why are you giving me flowers?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I love flowers though.
Oh, okay. Well,
like I would happily receive flowers every day, but I get the point. I'd be a bit like, like that's just weird. Why you buy me flowers?
Yeah, it would be a bit like it would come across a bit weird if you did it in circumstances that didn't call for it. I would agree that there are a lot more women that don't like the gesture, even when the circumstances would seem right. But I think you have to obviously acknowledge that you can't just like a girl and buy her flowers and think everything's going to be okay.
I think you should be able to.
No, that's not good advice. Like, what if there's a girl that's in the workplace and some dude just walks in with flowers?
No, you get them delivered by a flower company. Duh.
Well, either way, what I'm saying is I don't completely agree or disagree with what he's saying here. I hear what he's saying. I definitely hear it. Where he says that if not done under the precisely right circumstances and conditions today, such a move would likely label you creepy or desperate. I would say that would probably be the case back in the day if it wasn't under the right circumstances. That's just a minor pushback, but I get what he's saying. Finally, men must understand the old contract because your destruction is written within it. Whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, the seeds of every man's destructions are embedded in his natural male biology, sex drive, and masculinity. That's true. That is true. I mean, a man's sex drive can drive him to do very, very destructive things. Rational thought can go completely out the window. That's why they say don't think with your dick. Men who don't understand how traditional male nature conflicts with the new social contract of today.
Sorry, can I just say that's why a lot of women don't trust men in a lot of situations?
Well, give me
because you don't know if they genuinely mean everything that they're saying to you, or whether they're just trying to get their leg over.
No, 100%. There's a lot of manipulative men that think with their dicks, and they will do what they can and say what they need to get their leg over. And by that same token, there's a lot of manipulative women that will say and do whatever they need to get in your bank account. Women ain't really they're not gonna do it for sex. They'll probably that's something that comes to them quite easy, but they'll definitely manipulate for other things. So you gotta watch out for that. A man's sex drive can drive him to do some really stupid shit. It's very, very important for guys to learn how to control themselves. Men who don't understand how traditional male nature conflicts with the new social contract of today face a life of poverty, strife, confusion, divorce, and even imprisonment. It's here where men's belief in outdated norms destroy them, and you must unplug from what you are wired and taught to do. How it used to be. Once again, burn this into your brain. Men provided resources and protection, women provided sex, and if wanted, children. People may not like this emotionless, transactional view of men and women, but it doesn't make it any less accurate. The relationship between most men and women throughout all of history has been transactional. It has been prostitution. All men are Johns, all women are whores.
I beg your pardon?
What he's saying about the roles that men and women play, like as in men would provide resources and protection and women would be there at home, looking after the home, and they would provide children. That's one thing, but I think Myron is purposefully being brazen with his language to drive the point home. Obviously, all women are not whores. Like that's just not true.
I think Myron probably actually thinks that.
I don't think he actually thinks that. I think he's just saying that to wind people up. Obviously, he doesn't think his mum's a whore, right? There's no way. He's using very polarizing language.
Yeah, but his mum wouldn't be from like modern day women's today's society. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's saying that the relationships between men and women are transactional. At least they have been throughout human history. But I would not use the word prostitution, johns and whores. Anyway, but whereas the cold, clinical, economic nature of men's and women's relationships may not be sexy in a beautiful way, in a beautiful irony, what came from this transaction certainly is. Okay, so he's basically saying that where it starts off dark, even though women are whores according to him and all men are johns, that something beautiful can form out of it. I still wouldn't use that language because I think the language makes it disingenuous. I'm not offended by the language before someone thinks that. What I'm saying is that I think better language could be used to convey the transactions between men and women in a relationship. Yes, a man's primary interest in a way was no doubt initially sexual, but if it were the right girl at the right time with the right guy, love would often be the result. When I say that I don't like the language, obviously I'm under the unless I'm getting this wrong, whores has a set a whore is a certain type of thing, right? You wouldn't call your wife a whore. You wouldn't look at her that way. You wouldn't look at your wife as a whore because your relationship was on some level transactional, at least traditionally.
So the definition is to have unlawful sexual intercourse as or with a prostitute, to pursue a faithless, unworthy desire, a male who engages in sexual acts for money, a promiscuous or immoral woman, a person who engages in sexual intercourse for pay.
I think what Myron is saying here is that most women, because prostitution is the oldest form of work, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe what he's saying is that a lot of women were just prostitutes and a lot of men would go to see them and then relationships would form out of that. Maybe that's what he's saying. I don't think he's saying all women are whores. I think he's talking historically that they were working in that profession because a lot of women did work in that profession, young and old, and maybe relationships were formed out of that. Maybe that's what he means. A woman might be viewed as evil by insisting a man make a certain amount of money before she commits to him, but in insisting a man have his financial act together, stability would often follow. Financial stability lays a solid foundation to stabilize a relationship and eventually a family. So is she a whore demanding a man make money? Not really. That insistence is hardwired and results in children and a family that brings tremendous joy, arguably the whole purpose of life. Were women stingy, prudish, perhaps, even arrogant in their choice of men? Are you insulted when a woman rejects you? Indeed, women have lofty, if not impossible standards, but if it were not for those standards, not a single innovation, advancement, or technology would have been made by men to convince women otherwise. That's true, you know, a lot of men are driven to do great things to impress women. And where that's like a bad thing as well, I don't think you should go out of your way. I can understand the merit as well, where a lot of things that like helped advance where we are today was because a man was trying to impress a woman. Not everything, obviously, but impressing a woman can go, like a man's drive to impress and get a woman can really go a long way. Nearly every innovation or creation and almost all of society and civilization would not exist if women did not effectively insist men achieve some level of excellence before having sex with them. What do you think about that? Basically, what he's saying is that like women will withhold sex from a man that she doesn't deem worthy, which is her right. And a man will acknowledge that and be like, okay, well, I acknowledge that she doesn't deem me as worthy. I want to clap them cheeks. What do I need to do to clap them cheeks? That's what he's getting at. So men will go to the ends of the earth and create amazing things and do amazing things just to clap some cheeks.
Yeah.
And through that, our society has really benefited. Now, obviously, there's downsides to it because, you know, guys can do some really destructive things in the pursuit of stuff. But there's been a lot of positive that's come from it. A lot of guys, for example, a lot of young guys start the gym in the pursuit of women. And often they come to realize that it's not a good idea to do that. You should do it for yourself. But that comes over time. But a lot of the time, you'll get a very young guy, he'll work his ass off to buy a car because he wants to impress the girl. You know, the guy of the car at a very young age is the one that draws the girl. She deems him more worthy, so she steps into his car. That does happen. He's not wrong there. Guys do go to extreme lengths to impress women. In short, everything good, meaningful, and beautiful in life came from the old contract between men and women. Every human advancement, including family, love, technology, history, and the arts or civilization, comes from men trading resources for sex, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's true, like a lot of these amazing things we have come because men have been driven to clap some cheeks. I wouldn't say there's absolutely nothing wrong with it because we definitely know there's a downside to putting a lot of worth in people, but that's more of on an individual level. Like we made a video a little while ago about these women that were putting men down for going to the gym, or like society in general was trying to demonize strong men. And if you put your worth in people and they reject you, then what do you have left? You don't really have anything. So there is downsides to it 100%, but there's been amazing advancements because guys really want to get in them sugar walls. Don't deny reality. Any healthy, ordinary man would want the life and society that resulted from the old contract. And after 200,000 years of human evolution, it's perfectly normal, understandable, and healthy for you to want it more than anything else. Whether you are aware of it or not, and whether you like it or not, modern trends have rendered this reasonable want impossible for most men. Worse, these trends have made your strong natural male desires the ropes by which you will hang yourself. Even worse, your strong desires will damn you to a tortured, wasted life of vainly pursuing this near impossibility. This is how Tom, Dick, and Harry fucked up, and how Harry ruined his life. This is the risk every young man faces today. This does not mean to give up like a pussy. On the contrary, you should not deny your biological nature. You are hardwired to want women, love, sex, and for the most part, children. To deny your nature damns you to lead a miserable and unfulfilled life, which is what many modern women have foolishly done today. You must strike a balance that allows you to achieve your old contract desires while successfully navigating new contract realities. This will help you avoid divorce, financial ruin, heartbreak, or even jail. You must see the world for real, not what is ideal. I actually think that was a great chapter.
Yeah, that chapter was alright.
I actually think everything he said there was true. Like very minor pushbacks, but those are like little nuances. In what was it called? The old contract. I'd give that an A star. There's nothing in there really that I would sit there and debate him over. We're not going to read the new contract right now. We're going to save that for next time. Mostly my fault because I need to go to the cinema. But we're definitely going to read it because I think that was where chapter 1 and 2 started off in like a very polarizing place, where even the title "Why Women Deserve Less" is very polarizing, will wind people up. I think the chapter 3 was very insightful, and it's true. Although men have these desires to go after women and they can do great things, that can also send you down a dark path. If you're not getting what you want, there are quick and easy ways to get what you want, and they're often not good. They can cause you financial ruin. You can invest in women that will ruin your life. You can give your money to women that you shouldn't be giving it to. It's no different than doing drugs, you know. So I think his advice there is pretty good. You know, I'm not gonna bash Myron unnecessarily. I do believe that you should look for what is real and see the world for what it is and not what is ideal. Because if you look at the world idealistically, you ain't gonna get anywhere. So do you have anything you want to add to it?
No, I think I echo the point you just made.
Yeah, that was a good chapter. I'm looking forward to reading the new contract. I think the new contract's probably going to have a bit more polarizing language in it. But the world has changed. We do live in a new world right now. There are men and women are at odds. And like I said, I've never said that Myron is completely wrong about everything. It's just things that I disagree with him about. And there's, men disagree with each other. Just because you don't follow one man wholeheartedly doesn't mean that you hate them or that you think everything they say is wrong. So we'll see what he says, but we'll record that video fairly soon so we can get back to. We can progress. What other chapters? Oh, it's got graphs in here as well. Wow, it's going to be an interesting read. I'm looking forward to it.